So this is a conversation that I'm having with Terry once again, and it's a conversation of our conscious minds. And Terry was just sharing with me this amazing insight about the 144,000. So share with us, my friend.
Oh, it's good to hear from you again, Joe. Yeah, as we were speaking earlier, of course, 144,000 is well represented in a lot of ancient scripture. Uh, a lot of modern religions have taken the number and ran with it and used it as possibly a marketing tool uh, to gain, this next level ascension event. 144,000, of course, if you've looked into any type of numerology, it equals the prime number of 9. 1 plus 4 plus 4 equals 9, which in a lot of spiritual belief systems is the God frequency. It's the completion. So 144,000 would be looked at as a bandwidth of purity, a frequency, a resonance, something to aspire to in your daily life. When you have a possible bliss out moment, you've been working on your meditation and you get the big awe. Well, you've just hit 144,000. As the ancient scriptures have discussed previously, St. John the Divine, when he wrote that book, said, I saw this number, it was 144,000 elect. And the next sentence, I believe, I don't have a copy of the scripture in front of me, it talks about seeing another number and the multitude. And it was a number that was not able to be calculated. And that would be the number of the people, of those of us that have awakened to the fact, that things aren't the way they used to be. As Dorothy said to Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. And that's certainly true in this day and age we live in. So when you have the ability to attain a bliss out moment or separate yourself from, the matrix of noise, you have achieved that divine frequency of 144,000. So, that in itself could be an event. Another issue with the ancient scriptures as well with an event was the 7 years of tribulation, which I've recently found out, and I believe my higher self has helped me, has taken me to this knowledge to watch this. I was never really involved in astrology. However, I do enjoy going out, in the middle of the night here in the desert, seeing all the stars. You can't help but watching, the divine process at work, at night. And the last 7 years, as of last month, was the completion of the 7 years of tribulation on this planet. So we've had that as an event. I wasn't aware of this. There's several people out there that go through the astrological forecast, and they go back to roughly 2013, but the actual start of that tribulation, according to their research, was April 15th of 2014. And if you calculate 7 years, it's 1,260 days from the middle point, which is the birth of the Redeemer, up until March 6th of this year. That was the halfway point. So from 2014 to 2017 was the first 3.5 years, and then the second half. And, it certainly was a crazy 3.5 years when, DJT was running the show over here. So, that's another event, and it was proclaimed in these scriptures that it would come as a thief in the night, and it has, in my opinion, that it's come and it's gone. And I didn't even realize it. And I'm sure most of mankind here on the planet hasn't realized it. I'm sure that'll be quite a revelation of an event. I would have to say, we're some of the first to realize that. I mean, you can certainly go and do your research and, see if that works out correct or not. But, it resonated with me. So, I can certainly feel that, we're moving forward and we're certainly getting closer to what I would like to call the critical mass event. I have events regularly. I'm sure a lot of people that are listening today have events in their lives more profound, by the day, month, and year, these events are coming. And I think, though, that the critical mass event, the profound event that, we're all anticipating, that'll certainly come as a thief in the night as well. We'll all be sidetracked with something, and whammo, we'll be, no longer doing the 3D memo every day. That's for sure. So anyway, Joe, that's kind of my early thoughts.
Fantastic. Love it. And we were talking also about crystals that are in your community. I was just saying how I've been doing some sessions recently about crystals, people using crystals in other lifetimes that they've experienced, and learning how to program a crystal, because crystals are open, so it's like physical open memory energy sources.
Well, it's a symbiotic relationship. It's, the human toroidal chi with the energy of that crystal rock.
Yeah.
That symbiotic relationship, that, man with earth, connection with the energy.
Lots of people think that the crystal should just give them energy, and they don't understand that you must program and put in the energy first for it to be used.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and crystals and the human mind and parachutes, all have the same instruction manual. They only work when they're open. So I mean, that's a little bit of a joke there, but it's true. Open mind, open crystal.
I'm seeing it commonly. The people that want to believe that they're open, and there's still so many assumptions that are kind of getting them stuck, whether it's old belief systems, old attitudes, still not recognizing what their inner work is, and still not knowing the difference between ego and accountability. There's just so much going on. I love how much this energy is encouraging people to be forced with much love to look at their own crap.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Nowadays, I mean, if something's in your face, you are not going to be able to run for it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be the Grim Reaper, Debbie Doomer here, but if it's up in your face, it's there for a reason, and you better deal with it. It was like me with my retirement. To be honest, I was, fearful of having too much time on my hands. That was a big thing for me early this year before I left the retail industry, and I didn't want to look at it. I wanted to keep plugging away, and the body was saying, dude, you got to back off the throttle here. We can't keep up with your head, the mind and the body weren't connecting very well. And, finally, the hammer came down, and that was that. When higher self pulls you out of a situation, it may be the hook on stage, and that's just the way it is. So, if the big hook from the sky comes down and hooks you up, it's time. So you can't get around this stuff anymore.
You can run, but no one's fit enough to outrun inner work that will find you.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, yeah, exactly. And I still have these purging events, throughout the years that, of situations, relationships, stuff pops up. It's like, where in the world did that come from? Hopefully it's the last time I have to face it.
Well, we have to all be respectful of the inner work that we are still holding on to, because, yeah, in terms of I don't think anyone doesn't have inner work. Everyone's got something to master and experience. And I don't think your spiritual team would be like, oh, cool, look at them. They've got everything complete. We'll just leave them alone now. They will see, oh, this is great opportunity for more growth. Let's put them into this scenario and see if they sink or swim. And, that's just a reality of living. And we cannot be complacent. We cannot get stuck in any unless you want to do yourself the most profound disservice. We must honor our inner work. For us, it's not because of anyone else or for anyone else. It's our own responsibility, our own joy. It's our own spiritual evolution. We must be earnestly responsible and excited. Empowering and feeling empowered is so freaking amazing, beyond anything I've ever experienced. And I know a lot of people who are in the same position go, it was so easy. I just was honest with my shit that I was creating for myself. I released it, and now look at me. No one was doing anything to me apart from myself. And now I got over myself. I was honest to myself. I was honest to other people. And now I am loving this life and the experiences I'm being given, because I get to choose with my responsibility how I react. Do I want to see things from the bigger perspective and see, this is a lesson here I can master or completely fail at? No judgment. No, there's nothing that's good or bad. It's just different experiences. But when we know we are the masters of our emotions and we can navigate through things with such grace and joy, why not?
Yeah, just, keep, Buddha always said, choose the middle path. It's just that simple. When we go through our day, we give our power away to, people, places, and things, from the beginning to the end of our day when we're out, in the public arena, and that it takes a toll on us,
We always,
so when
yeah,
we come home, you got to charge the batteries.
yeah,
That isn't with alcohol.
no, or distractions or other people's crap. We
Right.
we can't distract ourselves with other people's issues. They've got their own responsibilities with their own work, and we are only responsible for our own inner work. And we need to be doing this for ourselves, to empower ourselves to be more compassionate to others and support each others. uh yeah, it's just so easy, but we make it so darn hard for ourselves and don't realize we're doing it.
Yeah, you just sparked a memory of mine. I've been recently watching those. Oh, when the Blessed Mother appears to those children. I, it's a apparition. That's what I was thinking of. She happens to be in the middle of an apparition now, again over there in Bosnia. Where she was appearing. I think this was back in the 90s or something. And that country is 50-50 Christian and Muslim. So she's appearing to both of them, and she is adamant about people clean up your act. You know, it's just, and I think these apparitions are going to come more and more and more now that the veil is thinning.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who you believe in. If you have a designer guru or someone that is helping you along the way. Don't be surprised if you don't get an apparition to help you choose. I mean, they're there for us and they do not want to see us fail. You know, Winding up on the old earth in that movie is not going to be pleasant, you know.
Indeed, absolutely.
And she's even said, she says, even if your life has been a complete disaster, and you've made the poorest choices possible, you still have a chance to turn, the ship around here. So, if there's people out there today and, your life's been an absolute, mess, there's still time. There's always time. Don't give up. Do your inner work like Joe and I speak about.
Absolutely. And it's about perspective. If we feel like we've made a real crap job out of our lives, there's some things that we're not proud of, yada yada yada. We still feel like we're victims to certain situations and events. It's all how you perceive your life. Yes, all our lives have been hard. They've been challenging. We've had to overcome a lot. We've had to experience a lot, but we must be in that neutral of understanding that those were lessons for us to experience, to be able to grow and feel what it feels like to have all of that range of emotions. It's so purposeful. We wanted that. Our spiritual team is honoring us asking, we would like to come down and have all of these experiences, please. Can you assist us while we have the veil over us? And they will say something like, you are crazy. But because hopefully they would have guided us to realize that was a crazy move. But no, the reality is a lot of volunteers are here now. It's so interesting because a lot of people assumed that the three wave of volunteers was the 144,000. And we've asked in sessions and it's not. It's just us trying to make things complicated when it shouldn't really be. But I totally sidetracked myself. The volunteers who are here now, this is the only purpose why they are here is to help humanity be ready for the shift and to help assist people with this. And some are doing really good at their responsibilities and some are a little bit distracted with their responsibilities, and that is all fine because at the end of the day, humanity is doing what humanity needs to do, and our spiritual teams have got all of that covered. But I think a lot of people, when the time comes when the veil is removed, I think a lot of people may look at their actions and their reactions and realize they got so distracted from the drama of the 3D that there was much more room for them to grow. And it's going to be very interesting. And
Yeah, and something else, Joe, too, with this event, I'm sure people, that have had, been just fed a double dose of fear their whole life. This event is about being caught up in a state of ecstasy and bliss. Okay. That's where we're going. Like these children that had the apparition with the Blessed Mother. There were others around looking at these children. They tried to move them or shake them. They were rock solid. That's where we're headed. You're going to experience a level of bliss and ecstasy that's just off the charts. That's what's going to happen. Take that to the bank.
yeah,
Don't take fear porn and doom to the bank.
no, no, not good interest. Oh, actually, it is great interest for extra fear and doom. And manifestation is so powerful right now. If we are in fear, it just grows and just invites friends to the party. It's not such a fantastic approach to it. And I understand that when we first hear about the shift and the concepts that come out of these sessions, I understand the journey one needs to take to be able to process it and understand it. I mean, accepting it's, is a very hard thing. There's so many stages that one must have to overcome to be able to accept the information. I keep saying to people who ask me, I heard these sessions about old Earth, the new Earth. Do you think it's true? And I sort of say, well, yeah, you should definitely read some of Dolores Cannon's books, and you should have your own session, and you should listen to the earliest sessions that I did, because I feel like I've extensively covered this topic. And for me, as the practitioner, I have to support my clients when they have this information coming out from them. We all are still very 3D, and this topic is still very new for people to process and understand. And it is all fine to listen to these sessions and unpack them and process them. It's something different and something else when you have your own session and your higher self is chatting away about all the things you're going to be doing on New Earth and the shift and all this stuff. And, it's really hard to deny what your higher self is saying unless you're a complete handbrake to yourself. So it's it's really hard to deny the information from sessions, because your subconscious is desperate to tell you about the shift and all that. And your conscious mind struggles with it still, but when you're telling yourself through your higher self through these sessions, it's hard to deny. It's really hard to deny. I mean, you try, you definitely try, you run from it, you go through a whole lot of emotions.
Oh yeah, and it's a misunderstanding that's the hardest thing. People don't know what to believe anymore. you know so in that situation, trust your inner feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully your inner feelings aren't telling you to go dig a hole. you know
That's the whole thing with these sessions. They started off being really about love yourself profoundly, get to know who you are profoundly, warts and all, know your reactions and how you respond. What are your triggers? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Be honest with yourself. And when you can be 100% honest with yourself, you get to actually know who you are, not who you pretend to be on social media and all that stuff. You actually have to look at your own behavior. And many people would, again, do that running.
yeah, and sometimes it's the easiest way to find out is what you don't like. I don't like red meat that much anymore. When I was a young kid, man, I was all over cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
you know but I've changed now as an older person. I know what I know, and I know I just, it's very rare that I'll eat a piece of red meat anymore.
I,
It just,
I
I
had a
just
client,
know it.
I had a client the other day who was 45, and she still identified with herself from what I'm going to use a label here. I feel like she had very narcissistic parents. And at a very young age, they said some really unkind things about her. She still identifies herself from that label that was given to her. And it was really interesting that she had not updated her own belief systems of self because of what others had put on to her.
Yeah, that's for sure. We keep saying, oh, you can't take your baggage to the fifth dimension with you. Well, I mean, I've still got a little bit to go too, and I'm cognizant, and try to pay attention to it and purge it and move forward and all that.
Mm.
Boy, I'll tell you what, there's going to be quite a purging, with this
Well,
main event or whatever shift. It's just going to be like, maybe that's what they talk about, the fire, from the transition. Maybe it's some type of, they just burn the nasty out of us, whatever's left on the last day of school. Who knows? We go through some spiritual car wash. Who the heck knows?
we
But
know
yeah,
we know that,
fire purges everything, that's for sure.
yeah, we know the terms soulmate and then twin flames. And people assume that a twin flame must be, a lover that's, hot and saucy and sexy. The reality is twin flames don't need to be your partners, but they need to love them, but also have this fiery relationship with them that sort of triggers you to grow. And then you sort of have some time now to learn, and then you get back together, siblings. Think about a sibling relationship. They are often twin flames. And so yes, that's where the fire comes in. It purges, burns out all of the impurities, all the materials that can be released, and it just will go
You
into.
know, you can also look at a twin flame as the caduceus, you know, and replace the reptilian snakehead with a flame, you know, and it's in a unison form of spiraling and heading upward, you know, through the staff on the caduceus, which is our spine, or our, you know, our staff of light, our lightsaber, so to speak, you know, and that could be a twin flame as well, you
So
know, that spark of energy that that wraps our spine of light.
yes, well, when you look at the who's here on Earth right now, in terms of all the light workers from all the different planets to help humanity be liberated, yes, you could definitely see that there are lots of moving pieces here to help everyone experience the most they can in this 3D, knowing that many people, this is the last time they're going to be experiencing a 3D incarnation. Uh, and it's very interesting. It's the whole thing is incredible, and I always enjoy having our conversations to try and get it out and talk, and I because it's so convoluted. The
I'll
information.
tell you what, the big guy couldn't have put on a better show. You know, I have to honestly, you know, put my kudos out to the big guy in heaven for putting on a great show. I mean, when you go and hire not one, but two Hollywood actors to play this fake president, you know, that's, I mean, how much better can it get? You know, you got James Woods and Jim Carrey playing, you know, China Joe, right? You know, and the guy trips up a flight of stairs on his way to his fake airplane. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. This is dinner theater, you know, break out the popcorn and watch the show. Cause I think, you know, the divine providence, we're lathering in it. We're lathering in divine providence.
It reminds me of my journey when I started doing these sessions and realizing they were so profound for my clients, and some of their questions that weren't just about their own lives, but just situations in general that are happening around the world, and realizing that we could ask questions about this stuff and get answers from people's higher selves and higher dimensional beings was so exciting, because I really, it was like, oh my gosh, this is, the high dimensional Google. It's fantastic. And so, one of the very first things I wanted to know was, who is God? What is God? How is God? Like, I wanted to know everything. And it was one of the bigger lessons for me to understand who God was and who God is. And I I really was blown away with it, because I couldn't understand the purpose of us as humans creating the word God. But now I can see it. But my whole journey with learning my own personal questions just to understand the workings of this world, it was so amazing. And I love that every time I ask these questions with different clients who've never heard these sessions, they don't have any reference, and they have their own belief systems of God. And when we ask these things, the information is always consistent. And this is the beauty of this work. I I love it so much. The profound information that we can get is so comforting to know that we don't need to keep struggling with our egos and with our conscious minds when we have a great connection, and our spiritual teams desperately wanting to help us to be able to understand it, so we can release all of the stuff that no longer serves us, all the drama, and see things from the bigger perspective, and trust the bigger perspective of why we are here. I feel so sorry for those people that are trying to pack in uh, so many experiences in one lifetime. when the
Hmm.
reality is we have to have many lifetimes here to have the full human experience. But then again, this is why we have these volunteers who have packed
Yeah.
so much into their lives to be able to experience as much as they can for their own curiosity and experiences, to have compassion for others moving forward.
Yeah. When you were talking about that, I remembered back to my first New Earth experience. And of course, it was with Dolores. But this was in such an early day. I mean, I was just starting to listen to Red Ice Radio and all the conspiracy theories, and Revolution Radio was out there. And then there was this lady, Dolores Cannon. This was like 2011. It had right after Fukushima had occurred, and the whole world was, you know, completely, involved in that situation. And my first video that I remember now watching all of this, I believe it was Suzanne Spooner was in it, and I think it was Candace, and they had a discussion of an experience about New Earth, and it must have been, as new practitioners, 7, 8, was that 10 years ago now. But anyway, and I just, oh my goodness, I had this burning bush moment of what in the world are these two women talking about? Going in and out of a third dimension to a fifth dimension and living in another realm. I was just taken away by this. I mean, it was so believable for me at the time. I resonated with it, and then I kind of put it off. I maybe paid attention to it for 6 months, and I still have. I don't think I've ever read one of Dolores's book. I do have an inclination, though, to read The Convoluted Universe, so I may go ahead and pull that off of Amazon before third dimension closes out, because I'm a firm believer right now, and you better get your licks in, because there ain't going to be much ice cream to lick here before too long, folks.
It's,
If there's something you need to do, you better do it.
yeah, it's going to mount in your hand and you're not going to be happy.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was my first experience with this whole situation of New Earth, Old Earth, and all that stuff. But it's a fascinating journey, and
Yeah.
it's basically free if you want it. If you want to go ahead and take a class in hypnotherapy, it's well worth the money that's spent. I did it. I don't practice it, but it's certainly given me a better connection in my consciousness, because I've asked, and it's been provided. Whatever I need to get through the day in somewhat of a happy mood. The spirits and guides and angels are there to do it for you. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it just reminds me of my journey to try and work out my life purpose. It was, I mean, I think everyone's got to that point where you just actually have to question, why am I here? What is the meaning of life? What really is it? And I think my grandmother, when she died, I was 14, 15, and profound grief like I've never experienced. And it just really triggered all the emotions of why, what on earth is this thing that we call life? And it can't just be for this. Nothing really resonated with me. It was so confusing. And, we had to, the whole thing just, ugh. But I realized now, after having quite a few of my own sessions, that I got so stuck in grief that I actually had a walk-in experience, not a full walk-in, walk-out experience, but I just had an addition to help me process the grief. And it was, now I realize it's quite beneficial, but did not realize that at the time, the shift within myself, which was really significant. And then when I went to university, I studied art history, classical studies, and religion. And I really found the Eastern religions really pleasing. I sort of And I'm sorry to say, I kind of felt like the Western religions were almost obnoxious. And I only was basing that on my friends who were all like Catholic and Christian, and their behaviors were so high school, because I still was in high school. So, when I sort of realized that there were different people who identified with different religions and their behaviors didn't seem to match what I knew very little of their religion. So they were not the best endorsements for their religion. So, totally judgmental of me, obviously, but I didn't
Yeah.
resonate with them because of, a whole lot of crap, because I was still immature myself. But moving forward, going to varsity, learning about the things I'd never really heard of before or even considered, which was about reincarnation. And as soon as I knew and learned about what reincarnation is, it gave me such a deep inner sense of peace that I realized I can actually enjoy this life. There is no pressure to just make it count, because this is all you get, because there's nothing left after that. Like, it just allowed me to just take the pressure off myself to be perfect and driven and successful and all the stuff that I thought people were expecting of me, to make money and all that stuff. I just realized, screw it, I'm just going to live and be happy for me. And that's really ultimately what everyone's supposed to be doing, is we're supposed to be having fun. We're supposed to be enjoying the challenges, but not nearly killing ourselves emotionally, morally, and spiritually to achieve what we assume others are wanting from us. So it was a huge relief for me to just know about the different processes of death. And I really adored all the religious art as well, because I could read it more than I could read English. I'm dyslexic. I really challenged myself to try and comprehend. What the problem is with me reading? I read people's intent, not the actual words, and this always tripped me up, because the people who are projecting, who think that I'm not intuitive, and so they write nonsense that sounds all good and very fake veneer, but the reality is I'm seeing through your words, I'm tapping into your intent, and I'm reacting to your intention. And so I didn't really notice that I could do that for a while. So anyway, so
Yeah, I think people are going to be waking up, to these sixth sense skills.
yeah.
And, that's where the inner work and the meditation comes in. If you find that you're getting more empathic skills, just be grateful for them, and they'll work better. Just acceptance.
Yeah.
Whatever's been laid at your feet for the day,
Yeah.
just take the acceptance. Thank you. It may be kind of strange or weird, but didn't show up in your life for you not to pay attention to it.
So true. So true. And it's that part of loving yourself and respecting yourself so profoundly, that when you do get this guidance or information, you're not spending and wasting all your time doubting it. And know that you're loved and protected by your spiritual team, who, I think that's their hardest job, is screaming out at the top of the lungs, we love you, we believe in you, keep going, you're doing such a great job, keep focusing, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And they're just projecting all this beautiful love energy down onto us. And when we're stuck in 3D, we completely sever that. We don't believe we're worthy. We want to buy into the drama, into the worry, and the fear, and really weird egos, and driven into really.
We've succumbed to peer pressure and mind control.
I love how you can just simplify that, and you're 100% right. I wish I was more articulate.
Well, that's my higher self chiming in, I think.
Thank you.
I think I'm just, Joe, I'm in four-wheel drive all the time now. I think, my higher self just chimes in when necessary. I don't think I have any control over that being anymore. Honestly, I've asked higher self into my life for so long. I think It's like letting a wild dog in the house. After a while, it's just a house pet. You know,
that's
so
that's tucked up into bed and laying on your pillow.
yeah, it just yeah, I think my higher self just jumps in the mix without any permission anymore. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission anyway, isn't it?
True. I feel these
That's
conversations.
how I roll anyway.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, no, fair enough. And I feel that I don't allow myself to tap into to the journey of my life. Just our twins turned 5 yesterday, and having to look at photos for their preschool to celebrate each year of their lives. And it was such a memory lane experience. I really had to reflect on on their growth and their journey, and my growth and journey being their mother, and all of the challenges that I felt. And the parent guilt is real. The parent guilt is shit and horrible. And I hope anyone that is listening who is holding on to any part of parent guilt, please, 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 just,
We
it's
did the best we could with there's no manual for this stuff. You do the best you can with what you have to work with.
amen. Amen to that. I will celebrate a God for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and of course our children chose us. It's a contract. We needed to heal and grow from our own childhood. Everything's purposeful, everything's a blessing, everything I love. But then it's applying the information from the sessions that we hear so freely from them. And and that's the fun. That's the fun. We're really good.
Yeah, and that's such a great line to use on your kids too, when they get all upset with you. It's like, hey, wait a minute, you chose me. It's not the other way around. You need to deal with this for some odd reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know I can tap into the reason of it. And I do like our conversations because it's me allowing myself to just be me. And I am not having to talk and to give you information or guidance, Terry, or anyone else. I'm just reflective of my work and my journey and me, and owning my crap and my reflections. And it's an incredible thing. When I discovered Dolores, I was doing this project with a medium, and we were interviewing icons from history who have passed, and to find out about their life journey and what they're doing in the afterlife. And I really wanted to help people be out of grief, and to be inspired to know that your loved ones are just right there. They're just right there, and they want you to trust that you're still living for a purpose and focus on that. And grief is not something that really serves us. Grief is a lower emotion, and we can be stuck there for a long time and not live because we are so profoundly stuck there. And so,
yeah, on the scale, it's definitely not 144,000 or anywhere close.
it's a point decimal 1.44.
Yeah, exactly.
So to me, to have these connections to beings who are no longer with us and hear their journey, it was incredible. And I profoundly appreciated Dolores's work instantly, but I was super skeptical and doubted it, and kind of was like, this is too good to be true, because if this is true, if this information is true, there is all of the questions that humanity has right there. That is your go point. That is your key. That is everything. And it was so exciting, so profoundly exciting. And my gosh, it's incredibly wonderful. And I understand the journey it takes to get from being that skeptic to then respecting the work, and not just respecting the work, but applying the work and trusting the work. That's, you've got to have a lot of groundwork that you've had to do for yourself to understand it, because it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's purposeful. You can't just get given the keys to the Ferrari. You actually have to do all of the paper rounds to earn that Ferrari, and to graduate and grow. And I know a lot of people try to listen to these sessions, but just cannot hear the content, let alone apply it.
Yeah, it takes a bit of doing, you're either ready for this stuff or you're not,
Yeah.
and I certainly don't force it on anyone, I
Mhm.
put a little teaser out there and see what happens. And then, they don't come back with anything that resonates with me, I'll leave it alone and move on.
Well, it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. I admit that. I know it did take me some time to process, especially the new earth and the old earth information. I hadn't even read Dolores's book about the three waves and the new earth. Yeah, it was a lot for me to process myself, and I had to support all my clients who keep getting the same information. And I realized, am I going to be part of the problem, or am I going to be able to help people? Because when they come out of that session with this full on information about the shift, am I supposed to be like, well, good luck with that, bye? Or should I be supporting them and being able to understand these concepts more, so I don't look like an idiot myself going, yeah, that sounded really full on. So
Yeah.
I had to work. I felt like I had a great drive and passion to really figure out what is going on. And, I'd already had profoundly respected this work and trusted this work and understood this work as much as I could. But I felt like I really needed to get a bigger grasp on it. It was hard because people were not getting the same information. Other practitioners were not getting the same information. So, of course, it was doubting, God, am I somehow screwing up these sessions with my clients? Like I went roundabouts with all the emotions of the work. And now, over a year later, they've asked me to write this book, which I'm now making into a PDF. I kind of feel like I'm obeying what they would like from me, but I'm like, is this going to be a PDF? I'm not going to try and promote books or anything. That just seems like too hard of work. I just trust the universe is going to get the information out to the people who need to. But it's a mind bend. It is a mind bend to write something that I know and believe people are going to be reading it after they've experienced the most craziest, horrific experience of their lives, and will be in profound emotions for it. I feel like this is the reason why I've had to work so hard for so long, is to be able to now help the people who are on the old earth. And I understand that many people are really uncomfortable with this conversation and topic because it feels so profound. There's so many questions about, well, how does it all work, and how? And I do feel like through all of the information that I have shared, I have fitted all the pieces of the puzzle for myself many times to get it's a lot of content, it's a lot of hours, but I feel like when you listen to the sessions, it's all there for you. It's all there for you, and you can resonate with it or not. Have your own session, find your own intern that's free, do whatever you need to do to be able to, kick the tires of this. I don't care. I am not trying to convince anyone of anything. I am sharing journeys from hundreds of clients and supporting them and myself as we are still living here pre the shift, and processing that and supporting each other with that, because that is the duality that is probably quite challenging for many. And of course, we mustn't forget the to be compassionate for those who do want to stay behind for their various important reasons. But as you said, Terry, I mean, we're going to an amazing dimension that is going to be so profound and so worthwhile, of all of the experiences that we've had here, to profoundly support ourselves and others on the new earth and all of what the 5D has for us to explore and experience, it is going to be incredible. There should never be any fear, because if you start buying into the fear, that means you don't trust your spiritual team. And we should fully have complete faith in our spiritual team, because
Yeah.
they would never let us experience anything that is detrimental to us.
Well, I firmly believe that last year was the absolute worst that we're going to have to deal with. I think we've seen the trough, and we're on at least the first or second rung of the ladder out of this shithole. You know, truly, from my heart, I think the worst is behind us.
Yeah, and absolutely. I agree with you. And of course, that is because, we're experiencing the new earth or something else. I believe that the people who are staying on the old earth, that's not going to be a luxury that they will get to experience yet. They have to experience the old earth. And the profound significance of that is actually quite, I want to say beautiful, but I don't want to trigger people. But when you see the bigger lessons that all get unraveled and unfolded, and how it's going to help not only humanity, but the galactics for future events, it's so profound, so purposeful, so special, so unique, so great. And it's so.
And the backside of that, the ascension side for us is quite the rush. But for those on the old earth, to be on a planet that's getting ready to flatline, that's quite the rush too.
I was wondering when I first started hearing about this, if it kind of seemed like the people who wanted to be on the old earth, it was for the extreme sports, for it to be the epic of all epics, that 3D is as we know it. Yeah, that's kind of mildly hard, but they want the like ridiculously impossibly hard to graduate level. And it does seem like there are people who want to experience that, for their experiences. I am glad that I did not choose to do that. I really.
Yeah, that's not my direction of travel at this point in time in my spiritual journey. I'm not ready to go back down the elevator. I've been there, with
Yeah.
drunkenness back in the day. I've experienced as dark a life as anyone could ever expect. I mean, the only more darkness would be, raised as a mushroom person in a tunnel, in a cage manned by reptilians. That's certainly a lot more dark, but I'm not there. I've had enough darkness for one life.
I think many people have had, they've reached their limits, beyond their limits. And while we all got extended life contracts in December to continue on, we also added a lot more new things that we could master, that were available to us, including some people who were told in sessions that they were going to go to the new earth. They have now signed up contracts to stay on the old earth for a bit. And that's mind bending, but also
Well, they might be wanting to get their Bodhisattva badge. Bodhisattvas are supposed to be last man out on the train. Captain goes down with the ship kind of thing.
Well,
Bodhisattvas, isn't it? That's part of that Eastern religion there in India, right?
Well, I respect everyone's life contracts, and I feel that all the people in my life right now, and always, are super purposeful for me to grow and explore and experience. And I'm really appreciative to everyone who signed up life contracts with me to have that experience. And I know sometimes I am in an experience where our higher selves are pushing me to be the one that triggers someone, for them to have that growth. And I used to be such a people pleaser, but now I know my role. I accept my role. I want to help them, and we can't grow if we're not triggered and expand and be pushed. and many people are coasting. And their higher selves, I literally feel them like with their hands on their hips, tapping their feet and pushing me and nudging me into the direction to be like, go fix that, because they're not listening to us. And then I'm like, well, do you think they're going to listen to me? And then, we have a lot of, not conflict, but a lot of conversations to support them and help them grow with much love. But
Well, that's, in early sobriety when they were really pushing me with that, go help the next guy, scenario, I was all over that. It never did work out for me to really help someone. And I think that's the lesson I need to learn in this life, is to just plant the seed and don't worry about whether it's fertilized and it grows and, turns into a nice big fruit tree.
yeah,
So we don't always know, when we plant that seed, or what's that there's a new buzzword going around the experiencer. That's the new light worker type title. Be an experience, or is it a experiencer, or I know it starts with an I can't think of it now, but it's like being the spark lighter type person. Just, plant the seed and just go on, because I think people, with the right little spark, that's all it takes. It doesn't take much. And we won't ever really know unless we see them on the other side after the fact, and they may come up to us and say, I would like to thank you for, waking me up. And it's like, who are you? Oh, well, this day happened or whatever. And we won't even know. I've had that happen, in recovery meetings, saying something and never, thinking twice about it. And somebody will come back and, what you said a week ago in that meeting, really helped me out.
nice.
And that's the sort of thing I think that, helps us as light workers to help grow our soul, is to just, if we go ahead and, plant these little seeds out there, and then the ones that come back, it's kind of a little shining light in our day. If someone comes back to us,
I bet
doesn't
you.
happen often, at least it doesn't for me. You probably get more thank yous than I do. Not that I'm looking for them.
No. Well, thank you for all the times that you've inspired others. I know that many people love your sessions. I feel that the reason why some people resonated with the information that you were sharing in your group is because you were coming from honesty and integrity. And it, you know, and realness matches realness, and that connects. We can say all of the kind, fluffy words in the world, and it doesn't mean it's empty, it's hollow, it's fake, it's bullshit. No one's buying it. But if you have genuine and sincerity and integrity and self-awareness, that's what resonates, because we are so used to bullshit that we can smell truth.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're all, not fresh out of the pea patch, and we know when we're being okey doked. I mean, it shouldn't take, you know, a murder detective to figure some of this out. When you're being played, you're being played. You know, especially in this day and age now. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. And in everything that has been happening to humanity is that perfect gift to make us stop and think and question. And as you're right, it just takes one little sowing of the seed for us to stop and think about the reality of the situations that were being sold in many ways. So I love our conversations. It gives me great reflection of the journey and path. And I love that I can just be me doing my work that I want to do and honor the spiritual teams that politely give me these tasks. And I love the journey that you are on. It's so significant and important for you. And I love your growth and experiences.
and I love to be able to share, what's been given to me, because I had a lot of questions too when I first woke up. It's not a pleasant place to be. You know, you feel like you're in a glass bubble and everybody's looking at you and you just can't figure out what's going on. You know, and that's not fun, you know, at all. So, you know, just people relax. You know, there's a divine providence about all of this, and nobody's going to be left behind. You know, we're all going to have exactly what we've written in our soul contracts. You know, it's a guarantee. Take it to the bank.
Yeah. Trust your spiritual team. They're experts. They're non-corruptible.
Exactly. Uncompromisable.
This is so funny. You know, when you were talking about Dolores Cannon, she peeked in. I could feel her energy, and she was like wanting to hear what you had to say and be part of.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah,
You
she.
know, and I get a tingly spine when that stuff happens. If I bring up Dolores, not that I've taken, you know, I mean, I've listened to you, all of you practitioners from her course, you know, and of course, you know, I've learned another modality, but still, it's all the same thing basically, you know, and I get those tingly feelings, you know, that should be your sign, so to speak, you know, that you're being surrounded and guided and loved. You know, when you get tinglies, they're on top of you like, you know, white on rice.
Is
You
it
know, they're there.
the truth bumps and the confirmation that there is something going on? They want you to take notice of it.
I have. I've you know had conversations with friends, and you know I've used a spark word unknowingly at the time. You know, just in general conversation, and somebody will get one of those tingly spine, you know, shivers, you
Mm.
know, and you know that it just registers with them. It's their truth, it's your truth, and you just had that electromagnetic connection with them. You know, when they get that tingly spine feeling, just like you did with me right now about Dolores, you
Mm.
know, that same thing. You
Yeah,
know, they're here with us, they're all over us, you know.
it
So
is a heavy heart when you see people who just feel so profoundly alone, so insecure, so detached. And
oh yeah, that's a terrible place to be.
yeah, it's I mean, I think we've all been there at some degree, because we have to, we want to experience everything, and you know we get to choose if it's going to be a minute, a day, a year. And you see those people who are so disempowered from their own doing, but they don't realize that they're doing it to themselves. And it's, I mean, all you can just do is love them and give them great compassion, obviously. I had this experience where I went to a social event and ended up talking to these two people for four and a half hours. And it was amazing to be able to apply the perspective and wisdom from these sessions to be able to help guide them. They just opened up and floodgated all of their stresses of work and home and all the stuff, and like basically their whole lives. And it was really fascinating to see them using the information and the perspective to like unlock and put everything into a different perspective. They were so darn excited to unpack and unravel all their crap with this new key of of perspective that I shared. It was so interesting. It gave me amazing hope and inspiration to know that from these people that were profoundly stuck in, oh my gosh, my life, I hate it, I just want out, to, oh my gosh, I'm so empowered, I'm so excited. And it gave me just, I mean, it astounded me that there was this massive transformation in such a short space of time. I I think I have seen different people's growth on their
Yeah,
personal.
we're going to have all these new experiences now, you know, with the increase in electromagnetic plasma just bathing this planet. You know, expect something new every day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, getting back to the theme of our uh, whole point of this discussion today, you know, the event. Expect an event every day, to be honest with you folks. I would, with the amount of energy coming on this planet now,
Yeah.
you know, it should be a daily occurrence. Now, when we hit critical mass, I can't tell you when that's going to happen, and nobody does. You know, the big guy knows when that's going to happen. But events, probably daily from here on in. I wouldn't be surprised.
Every opportunity, every day
Yeah,
gift.
yeah. So that's my final answer, my dear.
I love it. I love it. That excitement of being alive and being able to be in control of how we choose and steer our emotions and our reactions and our responsibilities to honor and serve ourselves. We must never forget ourselves. And that's not being selfish or stuck up or anything. It is about honoring the stuff that we are still holding on to that no longer serves us and making sure
Well, we put our own oxygen mask on first, then we assist others.
Yeah.
You got to suck the good juice before you can help anybody else suck their juice. Sorry to be crude, but it's true.
What juice are we talking about now? Okay. I just want to say a final message to everyone listening who's been listening to all this time. I love you. I see you.
Yeah, same for me. It's been great, you know, and let's keep doing this. You know, it's obviously beneficial to the masses.
Yes, these conscious mind conversations always give me great perspective and insight into applying this, and I love this. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you. And I guess we will cross paths as soon as possible.
Absolutely.